Boston in the Fall is a song that opens the album.
Yeah.
Talk to me about why.
Why it opens the album. I wanted it to open the album because this is a healing album. This album is about us losing dad, going through breakups, traveling, growing up, all those kinds of things. And I didn't want to get into it right away. I wanted the album to have like a soft opening. I wanted the album to be bookended. Welcome to the album kind of thing. I also wanted to bring it back to, I played piano as a kid, and all the songs that I have out right now are all on guitar. I wanted it to just bring it right back to the begining.
Right.
Me and a piano.
We had a piano in our living room.
Yeah.
Right outside my bedroom door. I remember fondly.
That's
throwing a little shade. But yeah, because so a lot of your, I'd say more recent music, there's a lot of acoustic guitar, but this brings it back to the piano. That like I always grew up knowing you to play.
Right. Piano was my first instrument, my first love. The only reason I picked up guitar was because I needed something to tour with and something that I could, carry on the metro, because I couldn't bring a piano with me everywhere. So I started writing more on guitar.
You've traveled Australia, Shanghai, even Alaska, I actually found out. I think last year you said you had a map on your wall of all the pinpoints of where you've been in the world, and you had a trail going up Alaska. And
walked.
And you said, "Don't tell mom." That was your first. What is it about Boston?
I went on this trip in 2018. I just wanted to go on a trip. I was just feeling, wanderlusty. And I wrote down a bunch of American cities and I put them in a hat, and I pulled out 3 cities and I made a trip around these 3 cities. And the 3 cities were Chicago, Philadelphia, and Boston. And I just stayed with couch surfers in each city. And my goal with each city was music and food. Just travel there, see the sights, eat the food, see live bands. That's what I wanted to do. And my couch surfing host in Boston, from getting to know him, found out he was a music producer. And we got along so well. He was super, super cool. And he said, anytime you're in Boston, let's record music. I flew out to Boston for 48 hours, and we lived in the studio for those 2 days, and we just recorded. And we recorded in my company, the wedding song, and What Do You Do on New Year's Eve? Because I thought having a Christmas song would be great.
Okay.
And this happened in the fall.
Great.
And Massachusetts, like New England, Boston, in the fall is beautiful. And recording these songs at that time was magical. It was beautiful. And after these songs actually ended up doing pretty well, and honestly started my music career. I was not planning on starting a music career. I just wanted to record. But they ended up doing so well that we started talking. We were like, what if we did an album together? So I actually started writing a potential album that we could do together. And I wanted to write about Boston and how we wrote this music. And I was going to start writing this story about the beginning of this musical journey, basically. And I was supposed to head down to Boston March 2020. And, Yeah. But because all the borders closed, that album that I had written that him and I were kind of working on, it just couldn't happen anymore. And we tried so many ways to record online, remotely, we'll write over Zoom. It just didn't really work. And honestly, it just started fizzling out to the point where we're like, I'm never gonna be in Boston long enough to record this thing. So Boston in the Fall for this album was it was an acknowledgement of that past project. It was like a thank you, like an ode to, a lullaby, I do acknowledge that I wouldn't be here without that experience, without that producer, without that time in Boston. I wanted to start this album off with I'm sorry this couldn't happen, and I want you to know that I'm continuing on because of it, and you've allowed me to continue on. So it's like a thank you to him, to Boston, to that experience, to everything. And the little Easter eggs that are in that song, there's the lyric, without Boston the Fall, my company would fade. And then without Boston the Fall, I wouldn't see my wedding day. And that's just referring to the two songs in my company and the wedding song to kind of, just as an ode, as a thank you, basically. And I thought it would be nice to open the album that way, of like, here we are, it begins.
Without Boston in the fall, my company would fade.